How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Pei Dalet, Daf 84 of Masechta BavaBasra. I think we're up to 84. Why not? Yeah, why not? Today is kind of a Gewaldige Daf. I think it's a Gewaldige Daf. Maybe it's a Gewaldige Daf. At the end of the Daf, I'm going to blow my mind. At the end of the Daf. Maybe you'll be excited about it too. Okay. We're going to stop a little bit high up, Lamaisa, on Daf Pei Dalet and Beis. Thing is that we're going to stop at the Mishnah on Daf Pei Dalet and Beis, about maybe a quarter, a third of the way in to the Amud, because that starts like a whole new inyan. The next few days, this week we're going to have to use our noggins a little bit. Gewaldige stuff like kinyonim and kinyan meshicha and kinyan agba and reshuyis and it's going to be gewaldige stuff this week. So we're going to stop. We're basically going to do from Mishnah to Mishnah. Okay, let's go right there. It's great stuff, I think, in my opinion. Okay, maybe I'm biased. I love all of the dafs. I think for the most part. Yeah, okay. Definitely most of them. Let's go weiter. Pei Gimel mit Beis at the Mishnah. Oh, gewaldig. Hamocher rosh behema gasa lo mocher saraglayim. Somebody who sells the head of a behema gasa, a big animal, like a cow or something. Lo mocher saraglayim, he does not sell the feet. Okay, mocher saraglayim, if he sells the feet, lo mocher sarosh, that does not include the head. Alright. Mocher sakone, lo mocher es akovid, if he sells the trachea, that does not include the liver. Mocher sakovid, lo mocher sakono, if he sells the liver, it does not include the trachea. Oh, no, sorry, the kona I think is the lungs. I think because it's like connected to the trachea. Avo bedaka, okay, when it comes to be'madaka, mocher sarosh, if he sells the head, mocher saraglayim, the feet are included. Mocher saraglayim, lo mocher sarosh. But if he sells the feet, it does not include the head. Mocher sakona, mocher sakovid. If he sells the lungs, it also includes the liver. Mocher sakovid, lo mocher sakona. But if he sells the liver, it does not include the lungs. Alright, what do you want me to tell you? The Gemara is not going to discuss this at all. But the Gemara will discuss this next part. Arba midas b'mochrin. There are four midas, I don't even, categories maybe you could say, when it comes to sellers. Here we go, when sales even, right? Mocher lo chitin yofis v'nimtzu ra'is halokeach yochol lachzer bo. Okay, category number one. If Shimon is the seller and he sells wheat to Reuven, and they were meant to be good wheat, but it turns out that they were modna wheat, bad wheat. So that means, so this isn't mekach tos, this is onah, right? This is Reuven, the buyer, overpaid. He paid for a gewaldige product, and he got a shvera product. So he overpaid. So no. So therefore, because Reuven is the victim of onah, he can be choser and be mevaltel the sale. Okay. Rose v'nim to yofis, if it's fakert. If Shimon sold Reuven bad wheat, but it turns out that Taka, he actually sold Reuven very, very good wheat, which means that Reuven got a bargain. He paid less, right? He paid a lower price than the actual value. So in that case, the seller is the victim of ona'ah, so to speak, because he provided more value than he received payment for. So mocher yochel lachzer bo. So in that case, the seller can undo the purchase. Rose v'nim to rose, yafos v'nim to yafos. Now, if the sale, what went down properly, right? Meaning, if Shimon was selling Reuven bad wheat, and he sold him bad wheat, or good wheat, and he sold him good wheat, so then it's just simply a proper sale. The sale is valid. Nobody can go back. Nobody can cancel anything. Nobody can be choser. Shchamtis v'nimtzeis levana v'nimtzeis shchamtis. If the sale was meant to be red wheat, but actually Shimon sold Reuven white wheat. Or fakert, it was supposed to be white wheat, but actually what he sold him was red wheat. Eitzim, so now it's not necessarily that one is better or worse than the other, it's just a different product. Eitzim shel zayis v'nimtzu shel shikma v'nimtzu shel zayis. Right? Olive wood, right? I was supposed to sell olive wood, but he sold sycamore wood or fakert. Yain v'nimtzu chometz v'nimtzu yayin. If Shimon was meant to sell Reuven wine, but he ended up selling vinegar, and it ended up being wine. In all of these scenarios, either one can be choser, right? Shimon could say, wait, I sold you the wrong thing. Reuven could say, wait, I received the wrong thing. Either one can be choser in that case, because in that case, it's actually a mistake. It's not like the ratio where it's a situation of ona'ah, where there's actually a discrepancy between the amount paid and what was received. Here, it's not necessarily that one is better than or worse than the other. It's the wrong thing. So therefore, either one can be choser. Says the Gemara, Amar of Chizda, says of Chizda, Macher lo shaveh chamesh b'sheish. Okay, so if Shimon sells Reuven something whose value is 5, but he sells it to Reuven for 6, which means that Reuven overpaid, so Reuven is the victim of ona'ah, v'hooker v'omar al shmonim. And then, what ends up happening is that actually this item, its value increases, and now it's actually worth 8, I don't know, zuzes, whatever he's selling it for. So now actually, Reuven is the one getting the better deal, right? Now it turns out that actually Reuven paid 6 zuzes for something whose value is actually 8 zuzes. So, mi nisane loker. Who is the victim of ona'ah here? It's still Reuven, because at the time of the sale, Shimon sold Reuven something whose value was 5. He sold it to him for 6. Reuven is the victim of ona'ah. Even if its value jumps up to 8, and now Reuven has something valued at 8 that he only paid 6 for, still it is Reuven who is the victim of ona'ah, since initially he was given the short end of the stick. Is that the phrase? So, lokeach yachalach zabavlo mocher. And therefore, only Reuven would potentially be able to be choser if he so wishes, because he was initially the victim of ona'ah. Velo mocher. Shimon cannot be mocher. He cannot be choser and say, wait, you only paid 6, it's worth 8. No, he can't. Mishum, because Reuven says to Shimon, ilu lo onison, if you would not have ripped me off, if you would have sold me this item at its proper value, which was 5, well then the sale would have been fair and square. It would have been a done deal. Nobody could go back anymore, and it would be mine, and in my possession, it would have increased in value. So if you would not have ripped me off, it would have been a done deal. Well, hashta de onisa, now that you ripped me off, and therefore it is not a done deal, because I can be choser. Now all of a sudden you think that now you could play the victim card and say, wait, it's worth 8 and you only paid 6? No way. Vitana tuna, chevre, this is givaldig. I'm so appreciative of the Rashbam over here. The Rashbam explained what Vitana tuna means. I never knew, let's be honest, what Vitana tuna meant. It meant, I don't know, it was taught. I don't know, some Tana, tuna, taught. I don't know, Mishnah, Brisa, maybe a Brisa. I didn't even know what it meant. Apparently tuna is like, look at the Rashbam. It's to the right. It's maybe 5-6 lines into the thin lines. Vitana tuna, tana didan. Tuna means tana didan. Kmo avuna is like avua didan. Achuna is like achva didan, right? Our brother. So tuna is tana didan. Tuna means tana. So tana, tuna. Our tana taught. So tana means to teach. And tuna means our Tana. So our Tana taught. I didn't know that until I saw the Rashbam. It's gewaldig. So v'tanatuna, in our Tanata, in our Mishnah, Yafis v'nimtzir u'ra'is, that if Shimon sells Ruvain allegedly good stuff, they turned out to be shvera stuff, so then Lokech yochol lachzor bo, Ruvain can be choser since he is the victim of ona velo mocher and not the mocher. Okay, fine. V'amar of Chisda, and says of Chisda fakert machalo in the opposite scenario. So machalo shave sheish b'chamesh. So if fakert, if Shimon sold Ruvain something valued at 6, but he sold it for 5, i.e., Ruvain got a bargain, and Shimon is the victim of ona over here, right? Shimon's he received less than the actual value. V'huzlu v'amdu al gimel, and then now what happened was the item actually cut in half, and now it's worth 3. So meaning initially Ruvain got a bargain. Initially he paid 5 for something that was worth 6. But now the item halved in value, and now it's only worth 3. All of a sudden Ruvain wants to say, wait, I want to undo this. I overpaid. I paid 5, but it's actually worth 3. So minas ana mocher. Well, look, it's the mocher who initially was the victim of ona. Right? After all, if this item that was worth 5 was actually sold for, if this item that was worth 6 was actually sold for 6 rather than 5, so it would have been a done deal. And when it would have halved in value, it would have halved in value in Ruvain's property, in Ruvain's possession. So now that Ruvain initially got a bargain, and therefore Shimon could be choser, that would be a reason for Ruvain to say, well, it wasn't a final deal, and therefore I can be choser. No, what, he gets a bargain and he could be choser? No way, no how. So minas ana mocher. Shimon is initially the victim of ona over here, in that he received less than the actual worth of the sale. Mocher yochol lachzor bo v'lo lokech. Shimon is the one who could be choser, not Ruvain. The Amar Le, because Shimon will say to Ruvain, ilu lo onison, if I wasn't the victim of ona, if I would have charged you 6 like it actually costs, well then it would have been a done deal and it would have halved in your possession. Lo avamatzus hadras bach, and you wouldn't have been able to be choser. Hashta, now that I was the victim of ona and that you got a bargain, matzus hadat bach, you think that now that it halves, all of a sudden you can go back on the sale? No way, no how. V'tanatuna, and our Tana taught, rose v'nimtzeu yafos, that if they were if Shimon was meant to sell something bad, but it turned out that he sold something gewaldig, so mocher yochol lachzor bo, so Shimon could be choser because he says, oops, I gave much more value than I received payment for. V'lo lokeach, so Shimon could be choser and not Ruvain. Gewaldig. So now, for there's like different girsos for these next few lines. I just kind of I don't know, it was a whole headache to figure out what the different girsa. I just stuck with what we have over here. Ma'ikamash malon masnisen. So then now the shaila is, what exactly is Rav Chisda teaching us? Is he basically just parroting the Mishnah? I don't understand. Like Rav Chisda says, that if like Ruvain is the victim of ona, so he could be choser, Shimon can't, and that's exactly right. We said v'tana tuna, and that is what the Tana of our Mishnah taught. So why do I need Rav Chisda if that's what the Tana of our Mishnah taught? So imi masnisin hava amina. Well, if we would only have our Mishnah hava amina, I may have thought that Dilma de Rav Chisda tarvayu matzu hadre behu. That maybe I would have thought that actually in the case of Rav Chisda, right? So let's say Ruvain overpaid, right? It was worth 5. Ruvain paid 6. So Ruvain was the victim of ona'ah, and then it increases in value. Maybe either one would be able to be choser. Umasnisin ha'oso lashmo'inon. And what the Mishnah is coming to teach is delokeach yochel achzor. And comes the Mishnah to teach that wait, what? Where am I? Umasnisin And our Mishnah therefore is coming to teach us that it is only the lokeach who can be choser. Because the pasuk says that basically, look, when it comes to a negotiation, right? I think back in the day it was much more common to haggle than it is now. I think even in recent history you can go to Shuk Machne Yehuda and haggle. Now you can't. No way. There's no haggle. I don't know if there's even any haggling in Shuk Machne Yehuda anymore. Hillel, what do you say? Hillel, have you noticed any haggling in Shuk Machne Yehuda? Maybe I just don't know where to go. But definitely in like the main shops, there's no haggling. No way, no how, there's no haggling. It's the opposite. It's the opposite. If you speak too much, the price keeps on going up over time. It doesn't go down. Hakoponim, I think haggling used to be more of like a way of negotiating anything. And therefore the way it goes is Ra Yomar Akonin. That basically the buyer is always going to say, this stuff is garbage. You really think that it's worth 10 shekels? This is worth 10 shekels? And of course, the seller is saying the opposite. What, you really think that this is what it's worth? This is the best thing you've ever seen in your life. So everyone's trying to make their, haggle in their sort of interest. So the buyer is always trying to say this is garbage, even though he knows it's not, right? And the seller is always trying to say this is the best you've ever seen, even though it's not. So therefore, I might think that that maybe it is a valid sale because it's just part of negotiations, right? The buyer knows that he's not actually getting great stuff. The seller is just saying it's great stuff. He knows that. That's just how haggling works. So therefore maybe he can't be choser. So the chiddush of the Mishnah is that Itaka could be choser because he's the victim of ono. Alright. Fine. Givaldik. And it's okay. So saying Davka the lokeach is choser because he's the victim of ono. Okay, so we said that if it was red, so if they were supposed to be selling, the sale was supposed to be for red wheat, but it turned out to be white wheat. So both of them, either one could be choser. Fine. Now, Omer Papa midikatoni livano shmamina ay shimsha sumkosi hi. Okay, from the fact that we have Livana and Shchamtis means red, and it comes from like Chama, from like the sun. So that means, well, if you have white and Shchamtis is the sun, so you have white and red. Red is Shchamtis is the sun. So in Mele, the sun is red. Okay, so again, our purpose is a problem. From the fact that we have Livana and Shchamtis, Shmamina ay Shimsha, so the sun, Sumkasi is red. Teda de Kosamko Tzafra Ofanya, and you should know because if you've ever seen a sunrise, the sun is red. If you've ever seen a sunset, the sun is red. And the reason why during the day it doesn't look red is it's because we can't see the sun clearly during the day because it's very stark. It's very bright out. So therefore you don't see it good. But at sunrise, at sunset, when things are not as bright, then you can get a good look at the sun. So it's take red. Meisvei, but we have a kasha from Tsaras. It says by Tsaras, and Tsaras is white. It says Umareu omik manaor, and its appearance is deeper than the skin. Kimare chama amuka minatzel, like the sun is deeper than the shade. I don't exactly know what that means, but okay, the sun is deeper than the shade. V'asim lovenu, and by Tsaras we're talking about white Tsaras. So we're saying that Tsaras is white. Tsaras is also like the sun. So apparently the sun is white. So Kamar Chama velo Kamar Chama. Well, it's like the sun, but also not like the sun. Kamar Chama damuka minatzel. It's like the sun in that it's deeper. Right. So we're saying Tsaras is like the sun in that it's deeper, just like the sun is deeper than the shade. So the Tsaras is deeper than the skin. Velo Kamar Chama, but it's not like the sun, tilu asum lavon vacha adam, because the Tsaras is white, but the sun is red. Now, when we just had the Havmini to think that maybe the sun was white, what do you do with the fact that, as we said, the sun is red in the sunrise and sunset? If it's white, then why would it be red? Well, because in the morning, when it's rising in the east, and it's passing by the roses of the Garden of Eden, so it turns red. And Befanya, in the evening, the Chalfa Pischa di Gehenim, when it sets in the west and it's passing by the entrance to hell, it becomes red with the red of the fires of hell. Vikadami Ipcha, those say fakir, that in the morning, it is what is it? In the morning, it's like shining towards like the fires. Then in the morning, it's not the red roses of the Garden of Eden. It's like shining towards the west, which is where hell is, and therefore it's getting red from the hell. And when it is setting in the night in the west, and it's kind of like got that path towards the east, that's when it gets red from the red roses of the Garden of Eden. All right, friends. Now we are getting up to the part that Mamish blew my mind yesterday. So today is Sunday. My mind was blown yesterday because of something that happened on Friday. So it says that if the sale was meant to be wine, but it turned out to be vinegar, so either one can, Reuven could say, wait, it was supposed to be wine, it's vinegar. Shimon could say, wait, I was supposed to sell you vinegar, I sold you wine, or whatever it was. So let's say that our Mishnah is Rebbe and not the Rabbanon. Okay, the Tanyas, we learn in the Brisa. Yayin v'chometz min echad hu. So the Brisa says that wine and vinegar are the zel bazach. They're the same thing. So if they're the same thing, well then what's the problem? Why could you be choser? It's the same thing. So Rebbe almost says Rebbe shnei minin, whereas Rebbe says that wine and vinegar are two separate things. So therefore, let's say that our Mishnah is Rebbe, because Rebbe says that wine and vinegar are two separate things, and therefore if the sale was meant to be wine, but it was for vinegar, or vice versa, so they could be, either one could be choser. So afilu tema rabbanon, no, you can even say that our Mishnah is like the rabbanon, that even though the rabbis say yain v'chometz min echad hu, still our Mishnah can be like the rabbis, because ad kan lo pliga rabbanon ole de Rebbe el linyan meiser v'truma. Because the Rabbanon only argue with Rebbe and say that yain and chometz are the same min, only when it comes to trumas and meisers. By trumas and meisers, they'll say wine and vinegar are the same thing, whereas Rebbe says that they're two separate things. So now I need you to open your hearts. Now I need you to open your hearts. Now I need you to open your hearts. Give me harmony. Tari. Listen, on Friday, so today's Sunday. Yesterday was Shabbos Kodesh. The day before that was Friday. My dearest, deepest friends, I need you to open your hearts. On Friday and Erev Shabbos, I was listening to Shlomo Carlebach. And I heard him say, Epis. And I heard him say it before. And I remembered when he said the Shtickle Torah before, it reminded me of a Gemara. And I couldn't remember what that Gemara was. Reb Shlomo says that when you have a husband and a wife, and they get in a big fight, and mamish, they get a divorce, and then 2,000 years later, they meet again, and they're still angry with each other. It's because they still love each other. Because if they didn't love each other, then why should they be angry with each other? And I remember I was thinking there's a Gemara like that. There's a Gemara that has that same logic. Like, the fact that something is even shaykh means that it's, that same logic. The fact that they're still angry means that they still love each other, because if they didn't love each other, then why should they be angry b'chlal? And I remember there was a Gemara I remember there was a Gemara, maybe it was Kiddushin, maybe it was Truma. I couldn't remember exactly what it was, but it was the fact that like there's like an Avera means that Memela something worked because I couldn't remember what it was. I couldn't, and this wasn't the first time that I heard the Shtickle Torah from Shlomo Kalbach. I had heard it before, and I remember the last time I heard it, I remember there's a Gemara. This reminds me of a Gemara. I couldn't remember where it was. On Friday, I was trying to find it. I was trying to think, where could it be? Maybe Ksubis, Kedusha. I was trying to think. I had no chance that I was going to find this Gemara. And the only hope that I had was, well, you know what? Sometimes Gemaras come up a few times in Shas, and hopefully it'll come up again. And when it comes up again, Givaldig, I'll say, this is the Gemara I was waiting for. And Chevre, lo and behold, Shabbos morning, I'm drinking coffee, I'm learning Gemara. Boom! The Gemara that I'm looking for, the Gemara that I was hoping maybe one day would show up Nachamal and Shas, and I would be able to remember, this is the Gemara I've been thinking of. Mamish, within 12 hours, or whatever it was, I'm looking at this Gemara, mind blown. Tari da 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 da. My dearest, sweetest, most beautiful friends. So when the Chachamim say that wine and vinegar are the same min, so that's specifically when it comes to Trumas and Maisus. And like Rabbi Illa, Dom Rabbi Illa, the Rabbi Illa says, Minayin the Torah min haroa ala yofa shechumaso truma. How do I know that if somebody, right, so if you have a field, let's say, of wheat, some of the wheat is Givaldig, some of the wheat is Modna. So how do we know that you should separate Truma from the Givaldig stuff, not from the Shver stuff, right? So separate from the good stuff, not from the bad stuff. So, and how do we know, and how do you know though, that even if you do separate from the bad stuff, okay, it works. Shenemar, as opposed to that you won't be sinning when you separate Truma from the good stuff. Meaning, if you separate Truma from the good stuff, you won't be sinning. But if you separate Truma from the bad stuff, then you will be sinning. And from the fact that we say that if you separate Truma from the bad stuff, you're sinning, so memele, that means that it's Truma, because if it wasn't Truma b'chlal, so then there's no sinning, there's no nothing, it's not anything, it's just a waste of time, it's not Truma, it's not a sin, it's not nothing. From the fact that we're saying that if you separate Truma from the bad stuff, you'll be sinning, it means that you actually accomplish something, but you accomplish something negative. So from the fact that you're sinning, it means that that it is Truma, and it's bad Truma. So all right, it's like Reb Shlomo says, the fact that they still are upset at each other means that they still love each other, because if they didn't, because if they didn't love each other, then why then who even cares? This was the Gemara. I had heard this Shtickle Torah a few times, and I kept on thinking it's a Gemara. It's this. Im Eino Kadosh Nisius Chet Lama. That's how we know that if you separate Truma from the bad stuff, it still is Truma. Okay, so when it comes to, so therefore, the Rabbanan would say that when it comes to Trumas and Maisris, wine and vinegar are the same thing, and therefore if you have wine and vinegar, separate Truma from the wine, don't separate it from the vinegar. If you separate it from the vinegar, Viginarette. An apple cider Viginarette. Okay. Aval le'inyan mekach umimkor duchli amo ika denicha le bechamra velo nicha le becholo vika denicha le becholo velo nicha le bechamra. But when it comes to buying and selling, sometimes you want wine, Sometimes you want red wine vinegar. And if I need red wine vinegar for some kind of a salad dressing or something, so I don't want red wine. And if I want red wine for, to eat with the Shabbos Suda, I don't want red wine vinegar. So, each one so when it comes to Mekach or Mimkar, so then each one is unique, right? If I want wine, I don't want vinegar. If I want vinegar, I don't want wine. But that's unique, but when the Chacham say that they're the same, that's Dafka with Trumas and Maisus. Cheved, that was that page. We're going to stop here because we're going to get this Mishnah starts a whole new Inyan. It's gewaldige stuff coming up. Not the easiest stuff, but it's geschmack. And it's like Perek Azov almost. It's like Shas basically. It all comes back to Kiddushin, It's the Chav Vav of Kiddushin where it talks about all the Kinyanim, but then you have to learn Perek Azov, you have to learn Cheskas Abatim, you have to learn Amorches Asvina. I'm sure there's a few other prokim in BavaBasra that we haven't gotten to yet, which also is going to be shaykh in order to really understand how these Kinyanims work, and we're going to get kind of more sugis of Kinyanim tomorrow. Today we talked about Ona, Ashtikol, we talked about the sun a little bit, and then we got to this Gemara that blew my mind. Peace out.